Welcome to episode 8 of the Mile 20 podcast, where epic shit happens. I'm Lori, and I'm here with my bestie, Laura.
Hello, Lori.
Hello.
Hello.
And we are coming with you today to discuss a few things. We're going to hit Vermont City today, and we are on location. Thanks to Laura, our gracious hostess, is hosting us.
Yes, down to Chesapeake.
Yes, at her lovely home. So it's kind of fun going on the road. It's a different venue.
Except, like, you got to hold the mic, and it's kind of heavy.
It is heavy.
It's the only bad thing.
Yeah, we'll be changing.
we gotta figure out some. Well, you have some cordless mics that we haven't tried out yet, but we might have to try those out at some point in time.
Yeah,
so.
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for hosting us.
Oh,
it was an amazing
fun
weekend.
Very, very fun weekend with our girls too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll dive into that a little bit more in our next episode. We're actually invited the girls to participate in a off-topic kind of throw out the format style for next week.
We threw it out. We threw it out with the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, it was a little organized chaos. I don't even know.
But we
how
did talk about
organized.
some running.
Yeah,
we did talk about running and races, and
yes.
So there is an element of running. You'll see how it kind of weaves in through our next generation of girls in our family, but there is a little bit of chaos going on.
a lot of chaos, but it was good. So anyway, in this episode, we are going to be talking about Ben & Jerry's,
Yum,
Broken Toe,
ouch,
and spicy cocktails.
Oh, I gotta drink today.
I know it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. We'll talk about the beverage of the week.
Yes.
Or beverages of the week.
Yes, we're drinking two different beverages today. We've been drinking the same the past couple of episodes, but today we kind of we departed. We departed, yes.
Yeah. We'll do our Epic Week update. Then we'll get into the Vermont City Marathon. And then next week, like we already kind of teased, we had our girls' weekend and our girls were involved. And if you could please check out our socials and follow us you can find us on Instagram and on Facebook, Mile 20 Podcast, and please hit follow. You can follow along with our entire journey.
Yeah, and on Facebook and Instagram, we reference, some of the fun things that we experience in these races, and we post pictures. Well, Maggie posts the pictures for us.
Yes, all of our shenanigans.
Of all of our experiences. So you could definitely go and check those out as well on Instagram or Facebook.
Yes. So on to our Mile 20 beverage of the week.
Yes.
What you got over there, Laura Lee?
So I made a spicy cucumber margarita.
Ooh.
And it's the first one I've ever made. So if this thing sucks, it just is what it is. But the reason for this is because when we were in Vermont City, I want to say it was maybe the first night we were all together, and the guys, so our husbands, went into a bar and they both ordered this drink.
Yeah.
And they both loved it because they talked about how there was the cool of the cucumber, but then also the spicy from the jalapeno. I remember it having the chili, powder, and the salt around the rim.
And I feel like it was kind of before that went across the board where it was popular to have that on menus.
2017, right?
Yeah.
So and none of us had experienced it. So I'm paying homage to that because I remember the boys really liking that drink a lot, and I really couldn't remember anything specific. I don't remember much from Vermont City, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But so that's my drink. How about you?
No, I think it's very appropriate and
right?
good. I chose Zero Gravity, is a Burlington, Vermont brewery. I'm drinking their Conehead Haze IPA because I love IPAs. It's 6.3 ABV. And I also am going to be a little real. Could not remember what we drank as a beverage.
Yeah.
There were times where I would sneak into stores locally and I like to drink a local beer because I think we were still very much I was still very much in the beer phase at that point.
Yes.
So I felt like Zero Gravity was a great homage to pay to a Burlington brewery.
Cool. All right.
So I'm going to crack
yours
mine.
Open. I got you. All right. There we go. All right, cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Here's to Vermont City.
Here's to Vermont City. That's good. I really like that.
I made a good margarita.
God, I love hazy beer.
I might drink more of that.
You do want to watch the salt on
Do
the
I have salt on
corners
the
of your
corners of my
just
mouth?
on the corners of your
All
mouth.
right. Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
Laura, give us your Epic Week update. What you been up to this week?
Well, I had two really cool experiences, and these are more work related with people that I work with. Mm-hmm. So one of them, I want to give a shout out to a guy I work with. His name is Michael Millington. He ran his first marathon last weekend.
Oh my gosh, which one did he run?
And is it Treasure?
Oh, was it Treasure Coast?
Treasure Coast, yes.
Gotcha.
The nice thing is that he said it was only 10 minutes down the road from where he lives in Florida.
That's perfect.
And I was just like so incredibly excited for him, and he had a great experience. And I don't know, he actually said that he would run another marathon. You know, he was part of a running club, and a lot of other people had been running marathons, and you know, he got kind of the itch a little bit to go and run one. And yeah, so I don't know, I hyped it up to like the rest of our team, you know, congratulated him afterward. We talked about it the other day, you know, on a call. And so I'm just super proud. I love hearing, you know, people's experiences. He was much like what we had described in one of our earlier episodes when we described us running our first marathon. He was very sore afterward as well. So I did, you know, share, hey, you know, getting a good massage. Although he did say he got a good leg massage right after the marathon, which was great. So he's probably not in as much pain, you know, now versus, you know, the other day.
Now, neither of us have ran Treasure Coast.
Right.
How did he say his experience was? Did he give you any indication? Just because I'm curious.
He had a positive experience with it.
Yeah.
It was a flat course.
Flat.
We didn't get into too much detail, but it sounded like it was a well-organized race. And, you know, he was able to go and connect with his family afterward. And so he said that he had a great experience with it. So
cool.
So that's my first. And then the second is I just had a really cool conversation with another guy that I work with. His name is Brian, and he listens to our podcast. So thank you, Brian. Hi, Brian. And we talked about what mile 20 means. And he was sharing with me that he's like, yeah, like I had a mile 20 moment in my life recently where I realized, like, after listening to your podcast, like, this is my mile 20 right now. And he was just dealing with an injury from basketball.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's getting back into, you know, playing like full time. And he's like, yeah, I just had to figure out, like, all right, hit mile 20. What do I do next? And I love that.
Yeah.
You know,
that's awesome.
Mile 20 is not just about running, right? Or you know, drinking a cocktail at mile 20. It's really that, you know, what do you choose when you hit something hard in your life?
Because it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It happens
right?
to everybody. Everybody.
Whether it's you're dealing with parents who are getting older, you're dealing with an injury, you have something going on with like one of your kids, you know, or a friend, work. It just, I don't know. I finished that call with him, and I felt so just good about, you know, people kind of taking our message, even though we talk about our crazy shenanigans,
right.
but really there is a deep message here that, you know, there are things that are hard, and we're going to talk about something that's very difficult that happens, you know, in this race. And it's what you choose to do with it. You know?
Exactly.
So yeah, those are my two of my work buddies. And I felt like sharing that. So nothing else like extraordinary in my week, but I just, you know, that just really, those stories just kind of stuck with me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Those are good stories.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I think I was kind of the same. There wasn't a whole lot very exciting going on this week, aside from coming down here this weekend. Was very fun. But again, we'll get into that next week. But I always like to use this platform to kind of share as well. I feel like the generation before us, our parents' generation, didn't talk about a lot of things. And so I feel like the Gen Xers are like over talkers. Like we've talked about probably sex to our children at nauseum. Like they were very educated as far as what it was and the changes of your body when you were going through puberty. Nobody ever talks about, and I'm not going to linger here long, so you don't have to turn it off. I promise I'm not going to linger, but nobody talks about all the shit that happens with menopause, because women go through essentially almost two puberties in life. You have the one where you mature, and then you have the one where you stop.
Yes.
You stop, and they're two huge hormonal shifts that nobody really talks about. So my week was kind of punctuated, and I think it's important we discuss these things, by a lack of sleep and emotional instability because of menopause.
Yeah.
And it's real, and I hate that.
It is so real, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was like a hormonal mess. I think between DJ being done swimming and going through all that last weekend, talking about Paul on Monday,
Yeah.
I just was not in a sane frame of mind most of the week.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because like the mile 20, you choose how you're going to react and how long you're going to be staying in there, in that space. And I know that space is not a healthy space to be in. So, I shoved it back in the box and put the lid on it.
There you go. And it'll come out at some point in time down the road again, and it happens. But yeah, the lack of sleep thing is so for real with menopause. I know when we coordinate our runs in the morning, so we run, more often than not with our friend Julie as well.
And we run at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
We're early birds.
Right. And so we do a check-in at about 4:45 in the morning because you have a little bit of a longer drive.
Yeah.
And just do a check-in to make sure that, we're all still available, whatever the weather is. But it's for real with menopause where, sometimes we have to go and bail because you got like 2 hours of sleep, the night before. So Julie and I bailed on you last Monday because we both didn't sleep on Sunday night.
Yeah.
I think I got maybe like 3-4 hours of sleep, and then you had to bail on Friday because of it. And we're all just forgiving with each other, right? Because we just know like
we're
what
all going
happens.
through it.
And it's just awful, like when you don't get the sleep, and then for me, like I got to get online, and I'm working, the next day, and like being a functioning human being, and people just, they don't walk in your shoes, they just don't know what that's about. And it's for real.
I said to the kids, or Dave the other day, I'm like, I now understand why older women look grumpy and exhausted all the time. I'm like, they freaking are.
Yes.
It's why.
Yes.
I get it. I don't want to be that, but I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. And I think I have so much more grace approaching women now with that. Like, I'm sorry. You're having
You
one
didn't
of those
sleep either.
days.
All right, so I have to ask, and then we'll get off of this topic. When you wake up and you cannot sleep, like, what do you do?
Well, see, I think mine is slightly different. It's almost rare that I wake up and can't get back to sleep. For me, I can feel it coming early. So like, I think I texted you that night at 12:45, I'm still awake. Or no, it was like midnight. I'm like, I'm still awake. And it's almost like I can just feel that this is just the night I'm going to have.
Yeah.
And like 1 a.m., I'm still awake. At that point, I had the luxury of being able to push my schedule back in the morning. And so at 1 a.m., I took 2 melatonin and I fell asleep and it was fine.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I try deep breathing exercises. I've tried, sometimes when Dave's out of town, I've tried Peloton has a 30-minute sleep meditation.
Yes, I've tried doing that too.
Those sometimes work. It's not always. I just try not to do pharmaceuticals, but I know pharmaceuticals are an option. It's there, and I don't slight that. I just am trying to stay off of it as long as I can.
Yeah.
But, I think sometimes it's just a grin and bear it too. What about you?
I never have problems falling asleep. Ever. I fall asleep very, very quickly, but I will wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep because then my brain just starts racing. And I know my body's tired, my mind's tired, but things just pop into my head. I play free cell, like a gazillion games of free cell, just over and over. And I figure it's such a monotonous thing, even though like I have to think about the game. I get to the point where like next thing you know, I'm nodding off. I'm like, okay, it's time to go to sleep,
Yeah.
And I could play like, I don't know, 30. I think one night like was my max. I think I played like 45 games of like free cell. And yeah, it's like you just start dreaming about cards. It's like a solitaire game on my phone, which, everybody says is not a good thing to go and flip your phone open, in the middle of the night because of the blue light.
Right,
and,
yeah.
You wonder why I have to wear glasses almost all the time now. But yeah, free cell's my jam. When otherwise it used to be that I would go and do online shopping, and I've stopped doing that at 2:00 in the morning because you don't make good choices on things that you purchase.
That's probably smart. That's probably very smart. The other thing I did want to say, because we went on a lovely walk this morning.
Yes.
And it's just a casual observation. But as we went out on the walk, we saw some garbage, and we decided to do, on the way back, a little bit of a garbage cleanup off the side of the road. We grew up in the generation where there were public service announcements on TV.
Give a hoot, don't pollute.
Give a hoot, don't pollute. And it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah.
That's a separate thing, and not our children. We were the children. But anyway, give a hoot, don't pollute. I'm like, can we bring this thing back? The amount of garbage I've been noticing on the side of the road is going up astronomically. And I don't know if it's just the lack of communication about it, people not caring, or whether we're just sloppy with how we're treating our garbage. I don't know. But anyway,
it could be too that there's more to go containers. I mean, you think about it as kids, there was no plastic bottles as kids. I mean, you wanted a water, you would go and get a glass and you'd fill it up from the faucet.
Right. Or drink from the hose.
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot more, just trash that our stuff comes prepackaged in as well. But yeah, we did pick up a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
Just in my little neighborhood here, just in the wood line.
You would never suspect.
No, but we were definitely looking for it.
Maggie may post a picture of that later.
Yeah, but I thank our girls and Lori for helping us go and do that. So
it makes you feel good. Like if you're going to go out for a run or go out for a walk and you see something on your way back, maybe just pick it up. Leave the place a little cleaner than what you found it.
That's right.
I think it's just like a good human being thing to do.
It totally is.
Anyway, so that's it. That's all. I feel like I was a little preachy today, so I apologize.
Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. That was your week.
That's so true.
It is what it is.
You want to get us started talking about Vermont City and maybe your travels on the way there?
So Vermont City is a race that is held in Burlington, Vermont. And we ran the race. It was Memorial Day weekend of 2017.
Yeah, I think it's always Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. So it's a little warmer. It is the third largest marathon in New England. So you think about New England, Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. Is Maine kind of included in there?
Maine's
right?
included in
that. So it's the third largest, but. Interestingly enough, the year that we did it, it was only 2,700 people that were registered for the race.
I find that very odd for being the third largest.
Yeah, that's and there were some relay folks engaged in there, but we decided to do Vermont City because it is in Burlington, which is the capital of Vermont, and we hadn't been there before. And then you had found out that if you ran the Vermont City Marathon and the Hartford, Connecticut Marathon, that you could get an extra medal. And you were all about the swag and getting extra medals.
Always about the extra medals. Yeah. And Hartford was on my radar because for Connecticut, I mean, that's kind of the race in Connecticut. Right. It's one of the larger ones. And it's got a great post-party marathon, like the post celebration at the finish. But we'll discuss that when we get there. So it was the New England double, and you got we'll share that medal when we get to
Hartford. Yeah. But this race was pretty flat.
Yep.
And it was pretty because you had a lot of water that you would run around, like lakes, and
you have Lake Champlain right there.
Yeah, which was really, really, really nice. But I did not have a good weekend that weekend.
No, that was a rough one for you.
It was a really, really rough weekend for me. So we decided, Jim, Maddie, and I, to fly up to Burlington. It was a quick flight from Philly. We did not feel like getting into the car.
Good for you.
And so we're at the Philly airport, and I don't usually wear open-toed shoes when I'm traveling, but I, for some reason, was in flip-flops, and I had my
Memorial Day weekend.
Right?
You were in that vibe.
I'm in the vibe, and I had my roller bag, and for some reason, I got stopped short. Something happened with my bag, and I smashed my big toe, into my roller bag.
Did you take a picture of your toe?
I did not. I looked through all my stuff. It was gross. It was
really bad.
Yeah. So lo and behold, I broke my toe like the day before the marathon.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I had broken it, but I pretty much knew that I did something really bad to it because it just gradually, like that night at dinner, the next day, actually it was like two days later, right? Because I think we had a day in between the race. The race was on a Sunday. So we flew on Friday, but Saturday my toe was just, as you described, it was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't good.
Yeah, no. And so I broke my toe. So public service announcement, when you are traveling to a race, do not wear open-toed shoes traveling to the race because there could be a little bit of a hazard, going on there.
Protect your feet.
Yes.
Take good care of them.
Yeah. And you guys drove up, right?
Oh, yeah. We drove up. I think we left too, like relatively late. Like maybe Dave worked most of the day and we let the kids go to school and then we drove up. And I think it's like 7 hours to get up there?
Yeah.
So I feel like we got in at like 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy how late because we drove up. And I have this vivid memory. Ella was 10. Everybody else in the car passed out. We had the whole family with us. Ella gets into the passenger seat because my philosophy is if you're going to sleep, and somebody's going to be awake, they are in the passenger side.
That's right.
So like my husband got kicked to the back because he was sleeping. I have to say from maybe like 11 p.m. until 1 a.m., Ella was on a roll. Just like just talking my ear off about 5th grade drama. I can't even remember. I think I had her I was half listening, half not because of,
Because it was 5th grade drama.
It was 5th grade drama. Like I was like, oh, and I was trying to like listen to the parts that I thought pertained to Ella and how she should handle situations. But then like when she was talking about everything else, I'm like, yeah, that's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was our experience driving up. But I had all my body parts were intact when I arrived.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And because of getting injured and it's a lot, right? When you're going through these,
it can make you very mental.
Totally mental.
Way mental before you even get to the start line.
And this will not be through all of our journeys here the first time I will describe an injury that I had going into a race.
No.
This was probably the worst one, but the first of many.
Yeah.
But you make this financial commitment, you have a family commitment, and I never once contemplated that I wasn't going to run the race.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nerve wracking because I didn't know if I was going to finish it, but I'm like, I don't want to come back to Vermont to have to run.
I know when you decide to start on the 50 states journey, it's definitely a financial investment.
We never sat down and tried to figure out how much money we spent doing the 50 states, and we never will.
Because God bless our husbands. I mean, for me, I've been a stay-at-home mom, so I always felt like extra, like it's our money, you know what I mean? But it's also Dave working for it. So I'm like incredibly appreciative. I don't think I've ever stressed how appreciative I am that we were able to have that experience because he was so supportive.
Oh, beyond supportive. Our spouses rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, they 100% supportive, and I think that was one of the first weekends too where, the guys like really hung out with each other and like they started kind of like their little bromance with each other, just started becoming friends as well. Like we could go and see like, oh wow, our husbands are getting along with each other. They're drinking the same drink. Like this is so cool, Yeah. So that was nice to go and see that.
That was nice.
Yeah.
So just to start dabbling into the course a little bit.
Yeah.
The course has changed. It changed, I think, shortly after COVID. When we ran it, it was fabulous because it was a 26.2 mile course. It's kind of like a little bit of a clover shape in that everything started in Burlington was like the center. And then like the first loop, you're kind of going a little bit southeast and you take a little loop and then you go back through Burlington. There was a long out and back.
On like a highway kind of thing,
right?
I
think it's called the Beltline. Yeah. They had an out and back there and then you came back into Burlington.
That was a little hilly, that area, wasn't it? Because wasn't there like a little like there was a bridge across the road that we had our picture taken, and I just
Yeah.
remember there being a little bit of a climb of a hill.
Yeah.
There it wasn't hateful because it was a pretty flat course, so it wasn't like anything we had experienced, a couple weeks prior in Big Sur. But that was kind of boring though. That part of the
It was. Yes, but I don't remember it being completely heinous either.
No, it was a lot of green space. It was Vermont. It's
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And then you kind of traveled again south, but more southwest of Burlington and kind of along the lake a little bit there. Going back through Burlington, and then there was like a long street going north, and then we came back down the bike trail. So I think they've changed with the change in the course. They got rid of the eastern kind of loops of it and kept everything that was more lakeside, and it's now a 2-loop course, 13.1 mile, two loops.
So what do you think about a loop course?
I was trying to avoid loop courses at all costs at any time that I could.
So a loop course is when you have a start, and you do one loop around the course, and then you follow the same course again, and you do another loop around it. So you basically do the same route twice.
And a lot of times when you're at the half mark, you're also crossing the finish line because depending on the race. I haven't done this since it's changed, so I don't know how they have that set up. But we have done 1 2-loop course. And I will never do that again.
Never. Yeah, no, I actually, my favorite type of course is a point to point. Because you're just seeing different scenery the entire time.
I don't mind a loop.
I don't mind a loop, but I do like a point to point because you get to see everything's different.
Yeah.
You know, like when you do like at least like one little loop in a course, like you're coming back to like a part of the race that you've already seen.
Yeah.
And and I mean, they're not hateful, but my favorites are point to point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like it was interesting because every time we came back from one of the points, you were going back through Burlington, you get jazzed because the crowds were so great in Burlington itself. They really hyped you up, and then you would go out, and then there
would be
back.
no people in the out, and then you come back in. So I remember one of the funniest things that we saw when we were going, not funny, but it was so entertaining. They had a bunch of drag queens. One of the times where we came back and we ran through this like little market area, and it was like a little square, and they had a ton of drag queens. I want to say there were maybe like 12 folks.
I don't know. They were fabulous. They were bringing the energy.
Oh, the energy that these people brought it was just outstanding. And we got a picture taken with one of the drag queens, and I don't know. I remember the person saying some like kind of motivational, kind of thing to us. And it was a good time. That was a good time.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It got a little warm.
It was very warm. It was very warm.
And I think I remember being on that bike trail, which was great because you had lake views.
It was like towards the end of the race.
And when you're looking at Lake Champlain from that angle, the backdrop is the Adirondacks in New York.
Right.
So it's like lake, and then you see the mountains across the way. And I kept saying, we're going in. I remember thinking, I just want to get in.
Going into the lake.
I'm like, I need to go in.
Yes.
Because it is hot. I'm hot, and I want to get in the lake.
Yes. And we did.
We did. We finished and got in the lake.
We took our shoes off, and not only did we stand in, we got our pictures taken with our medals, but then we sat in that shit, and that water was cold, but it was so hot, and our bodies were so sore. And I
really think it helped with recovery, and I think it helped your toe.
I do. And yeah, so, if you do Vermont City, and just like take advantage of the lake that is there. Highly recommend going and maybe doing like a little bit of an ice bath after the run.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, because like you mentioned the temperature, so it started out at 51 degrees in the morning, which wasn't. I mean, it was
perfect.
nice.
That's like a perfect.
Yeah,
start.
It wasn't cold. We had a little bit of like throwaway, shirts. But then it became like 78 degrees at the finish. So I do want to talk about throwaway gear because I know like a couple of episodes ago you mentioned that now we do onesies.
Yes.
But earlier on I would go and look for things in my closet that maybe, this is a
It was time
sweatshirt
for it
that's
to go.
hateful. But then I started going through Jim's closet.
Right. You start running out of things.
So
to
I know
throw
Jim
away.
is listening to our podcast. So I know at some point in time, babe, you were looking for your orange Syracuse sweatshirt. I'm sure it's on some homeless person right now in like some city somewhere, because yes, I did take that sweatshirt and I dumped it.
Oh boy. Well, here's the thing.
Sorry.
Is Jim actually listening? Because we will be finding out if he is or not.
Yeah, he's been listening, and so, which is kind of fun because we come back from these trips and I'll share stuff with him, but I don't share like every single detail with him and
Right.
some of the stupid shit we've done.
Right. Of course not. It was just a lot.
So, every time he was looking for like some sweatshirt that I thought would be like, that was ugly on him, or it was like, oh dude, like you have to get rid of that. I would use it as my throwaway shirt at a race. And then he looked for it going, babe, I don't know. I haven't seen it in a really long time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. That's. Yeah. No, I always either
It's all good.
asked for a donation from my husband or I was looking through my own closet. But early on, I fell in love with the onesie, especially
Yeah, you did.
on a cold morning. But at 51 degrees,
It wasn't, that was.
that's not a bad start. Like
No.
it's chilly, but it's comfortable enough that you can be in your normal, maybe have like a long sleeve. So I also would like to touch on, since we're talking about this,
Yes.
if you are not, if you're more of a novice runner, not running, contemplating starting running, it is the 20-degree rule.
Oh, yes.
You never quite know how to dress, what's appropriate for your run. Always just do plus 20 from the feels like, not the actual temperature. You have to look at what the feels like temperature. So like up here, let's say this morning where we are now, it was 40 degrees, but the feels like temperature is 35. So you add 20 to that. So 55. What would I be comfortable in sitting outside in 55 degree? Just sitting, not actively working.
Right.
So if you dress appropriately using kind of that guideline, you will almost be dressed appropriately while you're working on a run.
Yeah. And usually you have your golden rules where you will wear shorts when it's over 50 degrees, or shorts or a short sleeve shirt, right?
One thing is short,
yeah.
one thing is long at 50, yeah.
Yeah. And then you usually wear socks when it's under
Below
30,
freezing.
Yeah, under 32 degrees. So even though I've been running for well over 20 years, I still overdress.
Every time.
I do not like to be cold in the beginning of
At
a
all.
race or the beginning of a run. And I will get into my run maybe a mile. It's usually always a mile in, and I'm shedding clothes. So I've perfected the art of tying things around my waist.
Yes.
A lot of things around my waist. And, it is what it is. So it is around, your own preference. But I just do not like being cold in the beginning of a race.
Yeah. I don't like being cold at the beginning of a race too. So like a lot of times when we have the onesies, we'll get to a mile to 3 miles in, and then we start stripping them off, and we've left them in various places along courses.
We've taken some pictures of our onesies along the way. I was
Yes.
really sad when we had to go and ditch our bear onesies.
The bear onesies.
We had bear onesies, so we'll share that. That's way
down
deep
there,
into
yeah.
our races. But we had these bear onesies that we ran a couple of races in, and I don't know, they were my favorite.
I don't even know where they are right now.
Yeah, I do know where they are.
Do you?
Yeah, they're in New Mexico.
Oh. Baton.
Yeah, yeah.
Did not remember that.
Yep. All right. So talk a little bit about the course. So I loved the fact that the race started in Burlington, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
And we could walk from our hotels
Yes.
to the race start. And this is kind of clutch. And whether you're doing the 50 states or you're just you're picking up some random marathons here and there, we have perfected the art of finding hotels or Airbnbs, whatever the case might be, where you are very, very close to the start, where you can just kind of maximize your time in your hotel room using your own bathroom.
That's That's huge.
Right. And maximizing your sleep time too.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then
Travel
being able,
time.
right. And then being able to just walk, to the start. Cause obviously last week when we talked about Big Sur and having to get on a bus, and I mean, that wasn't an option. Right. So sometimes there isn't an option where, you need transportation to a start, because that's just the way that the race is modeled. Any race where it is a city race, we try to get a hotel that is within walking distance to the start.
Yeah. I think at this point, we were very big on Hilton properties, and you guys were Marriott, and we were traveling with our families. So I think we stayed at different hotels.
We did this race. Yeah.
Yeah. I stayed at where was that? The Hotel Champlain Burlington Hilton.
Yeah.
It was a great property. I really liked it.
Yeah. And we just stayed at the Courtyard in Burlington. So, but
they were like right around the corner.
Yeah,
from
they
each
were
other.
right around the corner. So it was very easy. I think at some point we just met up we were texting, and we just met up on the corner of, one of the streets, and then we just walked over to the start together.
Yeah.
Well, I hobbled and you walked.
So how did you get through 26.2 miles with a broken toe?
I was really, really anxious when we were at the start, if you recall. And I just kept saying to you, I was like, geez, I hope I can get through this. I hope I can get through this. And you're like, we got this. We got this. It wasn't, you got this. You kept, and I remember you saying, we got this. So I knew that, all right, I got Lori by my side, right?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't going anywhere.
And I don't know, man, like my brain just went and tried to distract myself like the entire time. Just thinking about other things. I mean, I didn't have any tape to go and tape it. And when you think about like your big toe, and when you strike your foot and then you're pushing off, like every single time, like I just kept feeling it over and over. And I don't know. I just did like that mental block where I'm like, yep, it's only 26.2 miles. I will get through this, and then I can address the toe. Because I think the importance of, like you talked about the other day, feeling like you let me down with like the music, right?
Right. Yeah.
I felt like if I didn't finish the race, like I would let you down. Right. And
right.
And then, and then I didn't want to go back to Vermont to have to run a race. Like involuntarily, like if I want to run a race in Vermont, like
now
going forward, like, yeah, but that's my choice.
Right.
I didn't want to have it to be I have to go back to Vermont because I couldn't finish that race. So I think that burning desire to check off the state, get it done, that kind of usurped any of the pain, and it just kind of blocked it for a period of time.
And we took it way easier than we did the previous races and all of that too.
Yeah. And you were great because, you were like, look, if you need to stop, you just let me know like where you're at.
Yeah, of course.
How's the toe?
Yeah. So I liked Vermont City Marathon. I loved it. I liked it. It was hard. I feel like it kind of did Vermont City a disservice, falling right behind Boston and Big Sur.
Oh, it was like, it was like, okay, yeah, we're in Vermont. I mean, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
But it wasn't Boston and Big Sur.
Like,
right?
I wish I could have like put Vermont City earlier and then ran Boston and Big Sur, because I feel like I would have come in fresher with a fresher mentality.
Yes, I agree.
But like when you run Boston and then you run Big Sur, of course you're going to compare almost every other race that you're ever going to run to those two races.
I totally agree. But I did enjoy running along the lake, or along Lake Champlain. I mean, just every time we kind of went around a different bend and a turn, it was really, really pretty.
It was
scenery.
very pretty.
It was very, and who would have known then versus now, that when you were looking across the lake and you saw the Adirondacks, that like, oh, like that's where your cabin is now.
Yeah,
over that way.
I know, and I loved it.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah. And when Jim and I visited you guys, at some point in time, I think it was after we hiked the White Mountains with y'all. Yeah. Jim and I took the ferry that goes across Lake Champlain over into the Adirondacks, and that was neat because the last time I was there was when we did this marathon. Yeah. So it was a couple of years later, and like, wow, like I sat in this lake, and we ran on right through the town, and I don't know, it was neat taking the ferry over.
And Burlington is a great town.
It's great.
It's a great town in
Yeah.
itself. Vermont's kind of got a little bit of a brewery trail going. I'm not sure what the road is, and I'm sure you can Google it. I didn't do my research as far as that goes, but I do know there's like, if you're a beer brewery person, there's some really great breweries there. We had some great eats.
Oh.
We had a really good breakfast at, what's it called?
The Skinny Pancake.
Skinny Pancake.
Yeah, they make crepes.
Yeah.
And they make sweet and savory crepes. Are you
Yes.
sweet or savory?
I think I'm more of a sweet
Yeah.
when it comes to crepes.
I'm savory.
I think it would depend on the time of day too, because I feel like at lunch,
I agree.
At
I
lunch,
agree.
I could probably do a savory, but definitely for breakfast, I'd be a sweet.
I agree. And the place where the Skinny Pancake was located, it had like a really cool vibe to it.
Yeah, it really
and a really
did.
cool staff, and they're still open.
I know, which is wonderful.
Yeah. No, I do remember that being an absolutely fantastic meal.
And I think we had a decent pizza the night before too. Where was that at? Was that at the American Flatbread Company?
Yes,
I feel like.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's when we really started getting into like, we need to go and have pizza the night before a race. And I don't know. Some of you might be listening and going, oh my God, I can't imagine eating pizza the night before.
Oh, it's perfect.
But I don't know, for us, it just has worked out really well. And
I mean, it's the same as doing a pasta dinner before.
Yeah.
It's just in a baked form.
It is in a baked
with
form.
Dough.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, like, I don't know, in a lot of our travels, we've been able to find pizzerias that have both regular pizza as well as gluten-free.
Yes.
So.
And they had a gluten-free option.
They did.
There.
They did. Mm-hmm. They totally did. And then the other fun thing that we did and we took the kids to this.
Yes.
Because Ben and Jerry's. This is where Ben and Jerry's ice cream originated.
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes outside of Burlington.
Totally worth going and doing that.
So it's so easy to bop over there and do the tour of the Ben and Jerry. Yes, I love that. Well, so my Achilles heel in life is a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
Yes.
What
flavor?
It's half baked. Yes. If I'm depressed, if we're celebrating anything, sweet treats, I'm going for my pint of Ben and Jerry's half baked. And the problem I have is that I will eat it all in one sitting.
I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge.
So bad.
Like at all. Like at all.
Bad.
Jim
likes
why
I run marathons.
Jim likes Cherry Garcia.
Yeah.
He's a Cherry Garcia guy.
Dave likes Cherry Garcia. He also sometimes will do Chunky Monkey.
Oh, Jim likes Chunky Monkey as well.
Yeah.
Yes. I cannot go and eat Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Unfortunately, because I have celiac, I also have a terrible lactose intolerance. And so anytime I eat like a very, very rich ice cream like that, not a good jam. Nobody wants to be around me. Like
and we were all crammed in the car driving out there too.
We were.
We were all in one car.
So I knew that when we were going to get some ice cream at Ben and Jerry's, chances are I was not going to be partaking. But the cool thing that I learned, because at Ben and Jerry's they have a little shop where you can buy, like their swag, shirts but I bought a cookbook for ice cream because I have an ice cream maker at home.
Oh, that's cool.
What I didn't realize is that they put egg. They put egg in their ice cream.
Oh,
I never knew that.
That screws Maddie out.
I know. But I never, my daughter has a terrible egg allergy. But I never knew that they put eggs into the ice cream. It kind of gives it like that custard,
makes it more
texture.
creamy?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So I remember the first time making it at home and I open it up and I'm like, egg? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But
another fun fact that I'm going to drop for both my daughter's sake is that Ben and Jerry's actually started, both went to college at Penn State University, worked at the Penn State Creamery, which is very famous for their ice cream. A lot of people will, when they go to Penn State, they do like the whole freezer pack thing and buy large amounts of the creamery ice cream. Is so good. But they were Penn State grads. And that's where they got their recipe or came up with the recipe.
I absolutely love that story. And And I never took advantage of going up to State College while Maggie was at Penn State. So so I feel like I have like the second coming right now with,
it's happening
with Ella
Yeah.
going to Penn State. So I've never eaten ice cream at the creamery. I'm hoping that maybe have some lactose free like options there. Maybe. If not,
Don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
Hopefully.
But I've never gone and experienced that. But our friend Julie has mentioned the creamery as well because her daughter went to Penn State as well.
It's like a rite of passage. Like you can't go to Penn State and not go to the creamery. That's just you just can't.
Now the one thing that I really enjoyed about the course was there was right towards the end, and I think you have it here that it started at mile 22 and a half. It's that there was a bike path. So so it felt like a trail, and it meandered along the side of the lake.
Yeah.
Which was really neat. But the cool thing about that, because that's like where our family did, because they were our beer bitches.
Yes, they were.
That day. We did not plant our alcohol. And they met us kind of like right before the trail started. So our mile 20 eked a little bit further beyond 20, which we were okay with. Like we hit mile 20, we're like, where the F are they? And I remember you getting a little angry. Like they were like,
no, you're confusing. That was actually, if you remember, that was Newport. I went mental at Newport.
Yes, that was Newport.
We'll
all right, I'm
discuss
so
that
sorry.
during the Newport
I'm
Marathon.
sorry. This is these are the New England races, but yes, I am confusing that. But so we were looking for them.
Yes. And it was a little beyond.
It was a little beyond 20 just because of the logistics of where they could park. And so, but the cool surprise with that one is that my husband's friend from high school, Tristan Reeve, he ended up, because he was living at the time up in New York, he knew that we were, going to be in Burlington, and he came down for the afternoon.
That's so cool.
To go and see Jim, see us, and he ended up being one of our beer bitches.
Yeah,
and I had no idea that he was coming down.
Yeah.
So it was a complete surprise. And Tristan is also a West Pointer.
That's
so
awesome.
Yes. So that was a really, really nice surprise. And then I saw a picture of us with like red Solo cups. So who knows what the heck we were drinking at mile 20.
I feel like it was definitely beer.
Yeah.
I don't think you were in your Prosecco phase yet.
Yeah, no, we were still going, and I was drinking some
era. I should say era. We had eras.
Yeah, we did have eras. We're so old. We have eras now of our beverages that we like. I don't even know what era I'm in right now. But then
the garbage can. The kitchen sink. Yes, that's the era we're in right now. The kitchen sink era. Anything goes.
The other fun thing that I remember from the course is this is when we started taking funny pictures in the course, and there was a mailbox that was in the shape of a fish, and it was a really, really big mailbox. I mean, these people could have put probably a week's worth of Amazon purchases into their fucking mailbox. And you were like, oh my God, I need to get my picture. So you kind of put your head, and it looked like the fish was going to swallow your head.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of it. And then after that, all of our races, then we found these funny things to
along the course.
And sometimes it was you had a funny idea or I had a funny idea, but because I was the photographer, I always had you going and doing the stupid shit.
Yes.
Right. So it was usually both of us kind of coming up with these things.
Yes, for sure.
But this one, it looks like, the fish is going to go and swallow your head.
Yeah. When you're 26.2 miles on a course.
Loopy.
You get loopy, but you also have to take pleasure in the small things.
Yes.
You have to notice the small things or you're going to go nuts. But then again, I know that many people are out there, they're racing it, so they're more focused on their watch than they are their surroundings, and I get that.
We focus on the surroundings.
But yeah, we focus on the surroundings. We're there, we're traveling, and I'm taking a 26.2 mile tour of every state that is of the United States.
That's so well said, because that's exactly what we did. And I know that while we take in everything, because I know there have been races where we've I don't know, I feel like it was like a real estate tour where we've critiqued, houses, and we're like, oh, we like that porch. Oh, we don't like that. Oh, look at that yard.
Yes,
and so we'll distract ourselves that way. So a lot of it is about distraction, right? And taking in your surroundings to go and be distracted. But the one important thing that I think I will always always do, whether I'm in a race or when we're backpacking through like, backcountry, you always got to look behind you.
Always got to look behind.
You always got to look behind you because
sometimes it's there.
Sometimes the scenery, sometimes you catch something that you wouldn't have otherwise noticed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, sometimes when you look behind from whence you came, you absolutely have the most wonderful experiences. It's kind of through life.
Yeah.
Like you're
Sometimes
trudging
the
ahead.
view is amazing,
right?
Just by looking behind you.
Yeah. Right? And it's the same thing with life. Sometimes you're always like moving forward with things in life, but sometimes it's good to go in like what we're doing through this like podcast. And it's good. We're looking behind right now.
Yeah.
And, and just kind of taking this in and sharing. Sometimes people say like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens on the trail stays on the trail. Oh, we're just kind of giving a little bit of a glimpse of like stuff that happens on the trail.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
There may be some things we leave out.
There's definitely going to be things we leave out.
Maybe not though. I don't know. We'll see as we go along.
So the swag for this race.
So I absolutely adore the color of the shirt. I don't know if they still do these t-shirts or not.
Yeah.
But I adore this color.
The color that we've never had a color like this.
I still don't have another color like this, really. This color was amazing. I don't know. Usually the quality of the shirts change from year to year.
Do you remember when they used to be cotton? When we first, they used to be cotton t-shirts. That's how old we are. They used to be cotton t-shirts because like the performance gear didn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is clearly a performance tee, and I'll be honest, I don't wear a lot of t-shirts.
Yes.
So I either am wearing long sleeve or I'm wearing a tank top because I overheat so quickly. So I don't wear this a lot, but I also know like it kind of it doesn't breathe. It's not overly breathable, even though it's a tech shirt.
Yes.
It's very fitted. But I like it. And it's got a nice, I like the logo and everything.
Yeah.
Wearing the medal also.
Well, all right. So the medals, what do the medals look like?
I like the medals. They're simple. It's got the nice sturdy normal ribbon, and it's a simple medal. It has one of the big main buildings, which I didn't look up.
Is it like the Capitol building downtown?
Is it?
I would assume that it's probably the Capitol building.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was the People's United Bank that was who was the sponsor.
Yeah.
So it says Vermont City Marathon 2017, and it's got a bunch of people running, like kind of like a silhouette of people, although it looks like all dudes. Doesn't look like any women who were in that picture on our medal. I'm just saying. And then it's got like some greenery and some mountains behind it, maybe representing the Adirondacks.
With as liberal as Vermont is.
Yeah, right?
That's interesting.
Right? It looks like all dudes.
Maybe there's
like a little dude fest going on in our medal.
Yeah.
So that's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Mother-in-law.
Anyway, really quick, before we close, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Would you run Vermont City again?
With it being a double loop now, absolutely fucking not. No. But I would run Vermont again. I would just want to go and find another race to go and run in the state.
I would go back to Burlington.
I would totally go. I loved Burlington.
Yeah.
Burlington had that nice small town kind of granola vibe that Vermont, kind of exudes.
Yeah.
They had some great breakfast places, options in terms of eating some, fancier meals versus very casual. They had a couple good coffee houses. I do remember, I think there was at some point in time, you guys were off going and doing something with the fam. Maybe it was like you guys had a late breakfast the first day you were in and we were waiting for you. And Jim and I went with Maddie into some cool bar, and it was like, I don't know, it was like from the 1800s.
Oh, that is cool.
And it had a really, just like we like that vibe, right?
Yeah.
And just very historic buildings.
Something that has character.
Yeah.
It has character.
The town had character.
Yeah.
And the people were super nice.
Very
and
nice.
They loved the runners who were in town, right? Because like we kind of, some towns, like runners just invade the town, for a marathon weekend, and everybody like had signs outside of their restaurants, runners welcome, and which is cool because, these races also, while it's a lot of work, for the police and permits and closing down roads. And I know people get frustrated with
getting
with races.
stuck in traffic that results from road closures.
Right.
Not planning
but
ahead.
it adds so much like instantaneously over a weekend to the economy of that town.
Yeah.
So thank you, Burlington.
Thank you, Burlington.
For continuing the race as well, even though it might be in a format that like is not for our liking. It doesn't mean that we wouldn't recommend to other people, hey, check out Burlington. It's a double loop. We don't like double loops, so we probably wouldn't run this race again.
Yeah.
Knowing that the format has changed, but I would definitely go back to Burlington again.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. So next week, I think as we said earlier, in the episode, it's going to be a little bit of a different format. We have our daughters because, again, we did a girls' weekend.
The format.
We did. We messed the format up like big time. Although we did have beverages.
There were beverages.
There were beverages. And we just had a really, really fantastic weekend with our daughters. It was truly a girls' weekend. So that is going to be our format. And we will talk about races and running. And I think it's kind of cool because our girls talked about being young runners and starting this stuff out young and, what their experiences were. And also, running with injuries, as a young runner. And I think it's, I don't know, there's some good stories that came out of the conversation we had. Yeah. And then our format really kind of took a shift because we did a themed girls' weekend.
Yes. We all have read some form of the Sarah J. Maas books, A Court of Thorns and Roses. And we saw a really cool TikTok or something where they were having a party that was themed with drinks and all of that.
Food.
And we're like, let's do this. And of course, Laura, being the hostess
and Maddie,
with the mostest,
my daughter,
and
too.
Maddie.
That apple didn't fall off of that tree when it comes to stuff like that.
Like over the top. Amazing with the cocktails and the food theme. But we're like, okay, so are we just going to get together and just talk about the books? But we're not all on the same playing field. We've all read the whole ACOTAR series, but not all the other series.
There's a lot of books.
Not all, like I'm only a book behind you. You've read them all.
Yeah, I've read them all.
I only have the third book of Crescent City left. Maggie's midway through Throne of Glass. Maddie's read them all. And Ella only did ACOTAR. So, like, we're all at different levels. So it was going to be hard for us to, like, talk about the books. So we decided to throw in the
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Because we can watch the movies.
Yes. Yeah. So we went and dove into a little bit of Harry Potter trivia. So for those of you who love the Harry Potter series, we, towards the end of our podcast next week, we have a little bit of Harry Potter trivia, and you will note that I suck at Harry Potter trivia. I don't think I answered one of the questions, so I'm a little spoiler. It's okay.
Yes, but it's okay. It's okay. We all get into our discomfort.
We had fun.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So thank you so much again for tuning in and listening to our account of Vermont City. Again, fantastic town, Burlington. Even if you're not running a marathon, check it out. It's a really, really great place to go and
highly
visit.
recommend.
And go make mile 20 your bitch this week.
Peace out.